November 5th at 8:30. It is my pleasure to welcome fellow commissioners, guests, fellow staff members in the audience today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to come to our Finance and Physical Resource Committee this morning. With that, we're going to start with public comment. Is there any public that would like to address the Finance and Physical Resources Committee this morning? Come on up, state your name and address.
Good morning. My name is Nancy Nielsen, 14130 Keller Avenue Northeast. I'm in Spencer Township, and it has a Cedar Springs Post Office and School District. Ever since the first senior millage dollar was raised, I have had the privilege of chairing the committee that recommends to you how to spend that money. Obviously, that's why I am here this morning, because on your agenda is our recommendations for 2020, which we hope you will deliberate and approve. So I thank you in advance. Back when that first dollar raised, I was barely eligible for senior millage services myself, so I have obviously grown into that demographic in that period of time. This year, as always, we met in mid-October for our process, which is a long, many hours spent meeting with the providers, the would-be providers. We crossed into a new $1 million this year. Now we're bringing you a recommendation for $12 million, and believe me, we take that challenge very seriously. I'd like to tell you a bit more about the committee that does this. We are a committee of 9. I like to say that we are 5 civilians and 4 government representatives. In addition to myself, the other civilians are Dr. Jim Byrne, who is our vice chair and retired medical director of Priority Health. Art Tanis, who is known well to you, a retired commissioner and sheriff's deputy. Sue Carson, a retired social worker. Richard Clanton, the retired mayor of Kentwood, and many other things on his distinguished resume. The county representation on our committee includes Commissioners Carol Hennessy, Matt Coleman, Stan Steck, and Assistant Administrator Matthew Van Zetten. I can't speak highly enough of the staff at the Area Agency on Aging of Western Michigan, the organization that you, the county, contracts with to actually administer the Senior Millage Fund. They are caring, competent, professional staff persons, and I have to tell you that the staff and our committee really function as a genuine team. I have staffed and been on many committees in my lifetime, and I have never seen where committee members and staff work so well and so purposeful together, and have a lot of fun doing it too. Among the $12 million that we're asking you to approve this year are 4 new programs that I'd like to just quickly mention. One is a program of the Alzheimer's Association, which would fund community health workers for a dementia care program which targets Latino and African American communities. There's a support group at the Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired, the Clubhouse Model Mental Health Program at Cherry Health, and last but not least, a new organization called Moxie Life Organizing. They specialize in professional organizing and coaching, particularly for those with chronic disorganization and hoarding. In fact, those who are at risk of actually eviction or condemnation and either are already or are very close to becoming clients of Adult Protective Services. A new program which has really, we were quite surprised at the profound need. So as you get down to that point in your agenda, we're well equipped this morning to discuss with you any questions that you might have, and we're proud of the package that we're bringing to you, and we hope you'll see fit to approve it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nancy. Anyone else for public comment? Seeing none, we will close public comment. That will bring us to our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Okay, moved and supported. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. That brings us to item number 3, from the equalization. Wayman?
Yes, this is a request to the Board of Commissioners to approve amendment number 2 to the Kent County and Allegan County Agreement for Equalization Services to add 1 FTE position, Assistant Equalization Director, Allegan County, and to appropriate $53,037 to the 2019 equalization budget. Currently, the Kent Currently, Kent County provides oversight of Allegan County's equalization function, which has resulted in standardized equalization practices in each county. The partnership with Allegan County also supports efforts within the state to move towards more common equalization practices. Allegan and Kent counties wish to amend this current agreement through September 30th, 2022. As a part of this agreement, Kent County will add a position, Assistant Equalization Director, Allegan County, to support its oversight of Allegan County's equalization function, and Allegan County will provide Kent County $96,500 annually to support the necessary staffing. Because this agreement is proposed to start during the current budget year, prorated costs for 2019 will be $53,037 based on existing work. If funding is eliminated or decreased, the position will be eliminated unless continuation funding is approved pursuant to fiscal policy on grants, contracts, and donations. Corporate Counsel has reviewed and approved the agreement as to form. This item was also recommended for approval by the Legislative and Human Resources Committee at its October the 22nd, 2019 meeting.
Thank you, Wayman. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported, and we'll take questions, comments, and discussion. Yes, Commissioner Antor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a comment. I think what we're seeing is counties wanting to come to us for some help a lot of times with their, not issues, but just the way they do business over there. They're coming to our equalization department, and Matthew does such a great job. I just think it speaks well to him and the job he does, the fact that we have these people wanting to do business with us on this important information and work. Thank you.
Commissioner Morgan?
Yeah, I appreciate Commissioner Antor's comments. Years ago, I was questioning, I don't really have a problem with us contracting with other counties as long as our taxpayers aren't subsidizing another governmental unit, and I think this corrects that.
That's
Is that my,
very,
is my
very
impression
correct.
correct here? I don't want this program to be subsidized by the taxpayers of Kent County.
And we took your comments very much to heart last time we discussed this agreement and went back, and Matt did a wonderful job working out the agreement. I
Well,
think
thank
is
you, Matt.
satisfied to your concerns.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? It's seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. That brings us to item number 4 from the Administrator's Office. Wayman?
Yes, this is a request to the board to allocate $12.6 million in senior millage funds for 2020 as recommended by the Area Agency on Aging of Western Michigan, to approve the agreement for administration of senior millage services with AAA West Michigan, and to authorize the board chair designee to execute the agreement. The AAA West Michigan holds contracts with 33 agencies to provide services with funding from the Kent County Senior Millage. Under the terms of the contracts, the funding level is evaluated annually based on new program proposals, current year operations, and available funding. In early October 2019, the Kent County Senior Millage Review Committee evaluated 2020 funding requests and made recommendations regarding funding for each service. These recommendations were forwarded to the AAA West Michigan Executive Committee on October 28, 2019, which is now recommending them to the county for approval. The county proposes to enter into an agreement with AAA West Michigan to serve as a senior millage administrative entity for development, coordination, implementation, and administration of the service delivery system for millage-funded programs for senior citizens. Assistant Corporate Counsel will review and approve the Senior Millage Administrative Service Agreement as to form.
Thank you, Wayman. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. We'll have questions, comments, and discussion. Yes, Commissioner Voorhees.
Thank you, Chair Jones. Appreciate the work of the senior millage. Had the opportunity to serve there for a time. Where does it say what is the complete cost that the Area Agency on Aging charges for their work?
If you turn to your document behind the action request, the third page in, you will see at the bottom there, administration, $527,400 for 2019 funding, and then for 2020, it's $567,000. So that's about 4.5% of the total dollars being allocated to the program.
Is that on page, I didn't get there, 3 or 4? Page 3? I got it in front of me.
No, it's not numbered page 3. That
Oh, it's
starts
not
at-
numbered.
It's actually page 1.
Oh,
The number
okay.
there, right
All right.
there you
So
go.
it's less than 5%.
I see it, administration right there. I was looking behind that. Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I had the same confusion as Commissioner Voorhees, so I'm glad that someone cleared that up. But I just wanted to thank the Senior Millage Review Committee. While I obviously don't sit on the Senior Millage Review Committee, I sit on the AAA Advisory Committee, and when introduced and people paused because not necessarily someone who is often in a AAA office, I did remind folks that we're all aging, just at different paces. But happy to see this getting done, and happy to see the wide range of services that we're providing, and that is why I'll be voting for it.
Yes, Commissioner Bukowski.
Yeah, I'm just, need to once again state my conflict of interest and that I'm going to abstain on this. That unlike the earlier statement, that I'm still not eligible for senior millage services, though getting precariously close. Disability Advocates has been a service provider since the very beginning. We helped advocate for the original millage and continue to advocate when we have those opportunities. So I'll just be quiet and abstain. Thank you.
Refresh my memory, Wayman, what age does this start?
I think it's 60.
60.
60.
60.
Just checking.
4 years.
Couple more.
Getting there. Hang on, Madam Chair, I gotta compose myself. Did you say 60?
60.
60.
I guess I had a conflict too then.
Yes, Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you. Once again, I'd like to just really commend the committee and the process. This process has been in place for a number of years, seems to work very well. It comes to us, I think, very well thought out, and I just want to commend the committee for their hard work.
Excellent. Anyone else? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions?
Aye.
And anyone opposing? Okay, motion passes. That brings us to item 5 on the agenda from the Administrator's Office. Wayman?
Yes, this is a request to the Board of Commissioners to approve the 2020 General Appropriation Act as the official budget for 2020. It is the responsibility of the County Administrator Controller to prepare an annual operating and capital improvement program budget for the county. The proposed 2020 budget has been reviewed at 3 board work sessions. Pursuant to state statute, a public hearing on the proposed budget will be held on November the 7th, 2019, and the required public notice was published. Estimated total appropriations for the various fund types are proposed as follows. General Fund, $187.8 million. Special Revenue Funds, $85.7 million. Capital Project Funds, $11.9 million, for a total of $285.5 million. In October 2019, the Board of Commissioners authorized 2.0013 mills for voter-approved dedicated millage via Resolution 10-10-1996, which has been used as the basis for preparing the 2020 budget. In May 2020, the Board of Commissioners will be requested to authorize the general property tax levy on real and personal property within the county on the equalized tax roll to support county general operations in 2020. This request includes the addition of 11.5 FTE, and they include a communication specialist, 1 dock clerk, 1 account clerk, 1 senior administrative specialist, 1 transfer station operator, 1 community resource specialist, 5 patrol deputies, and 1 part-time agricultural specialist, recommended by the Legislative and Human Resources Committee.
Is there a motion to approve?
Support.
Okay, moved and supported, and we will take questions, comments, and discussion. Yes, Commissioner Breve.
Thank you, Chair Jones. I'll turn on my mic.
Good.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to commend the committee here and the full board. I think we've had plenty of opportunity at our 3 work sessions to discuss this, ask questions. I'm grateful for the admin office and their responsiveness to our concerns. So with this, going forward, I feel confident that we have a good budget in place to support our community and serve our constituents.
Commissioner Voorhees?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The part-time ag preservation specialist, is this an increase over what we've been doing, or we have one person already
This
part-time?
position was contracted previously. As we discussed in our work sessions, this person will become a part-time employee internal to the county as opposed to contracted position, so that we can guide and support and leverage, guide and support the person, plus also leverage internal support around the position. So it's not in addition, it is simply reorganizing how we go about the work.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Wayman.
Yep. Commissioner Wooden?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I first also want to concur, very thankful for the process. I think that speaks to our administration and our leadership. I was very thankful for all 3 of our work sessions, and I will be voting for this budget. I did want to mention one concern I have in future budgets, and because this process is ongoing, is just the long-term sustainability on how we are funding our road patrol network. As I was looking back at previous budgets, it is now, I saw that our general fund contribution has increased 30% in the last 6 years. And I do trust the sheriff from our work board, or our work sessions, when she said that she doesn't anticipate another increase next year. But I also acknowledge that this is largely due to an increase in population. And that increase in population is increasing demand. And when 2/3 of this budget is coming from our general fund, and while I think this current funding system was appropriate when it was first established decades ago, I just think it might be time in longer-term discussions to evaluate other ways that we can have a fair and equitable funding strategy that can also be sustainable in the long term. I think of all the other demands that we have in our budget. We've had discussions on lead prevention, PFAS, and I'm concerned that as population is growing, our obligation in this line item will grow and limit our ability to have impact in other ways. That being said, I have every intention of voting for this budget. I'm very thankful for this process and thankful for the information. It's just a note that I would like to put in future discussions. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Bukowski?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, echoing the comments of good process to get us here, most of my thoughts are what do we do with this budget, assuming we say yes, and then the whole commission says yes going forward. We've all heard the bumper sticker that the budget is our #1 policy document. It tells what our priorities are and how we're doing it. The good and the bad is that, this very official document that comes to us annually, I don't think clearly says that. And it gives opportunity for people to kind of not interpret correctly what our priorities are. Because, just as an example, the very last bullet point, people could say times are good, of course they're adding FTEs. However, as you pointed out, we're barely building back of where we were a decade ago.
We're still down 61.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so those opportunities, not to make this document too long, but at the same time, just that parenthetical note there to say our FTE count is still significantly below. And then as we look to, put out press releases and communicate, the work that, I don't want to say is hidden in plain sight, but it's hidden in plain sight, related to we're doing great work on PFAS and lead and opioid stuff. And are there other issues that are more important for just people's awareness? And how do we, again, in this process, be able to say, here's how we're really addressing these critical needs? And again, the problem is we do so much. How do you not have that 20-page press release, which no one will read, and then people will say, well, what does the county do? So, I mean, all of that being said, how do we
Yeah.
communicate this going forward?
Yeah.
And then the balances of how we're funding this versus that, who's contributing, following
What?
up. Yeah.
Can I answer?
Yes.
Just one of the reasons behind the communication specialist position is to give us the needed support to do exactly what you just said. So we're in the process now of putting together communication pieces around the budget, as well as how do we deal with some of the issues that you're talking about. And not just do it one time, but do it on a regular basis so people understand all the various things that the county's involved with and how we're tackling them and who the partners are around the table to support us. So those are the things, Commissioner, that this position will help us do. We'll be more proactive, we'll be more transparent. Those are the things this position is deemed to do. It also will give latitude for our Director of Public Relations to build more of a partnership and collaboration with the other entities around the county, whether that be the Road Commission, DPW, working with our Health Department, our airport, and others who have the stamp county behind its back, behind its name or in front of its name, so that we yield better communication results as the entire county as a whole. There's these other units also interplay with the messaging around the county. We have to be very careful about how we help them to make sure their messaging is where the 19 want them to be. So that's the other part of it that we're working on.
Would you like to follow up, Commissioner?
Yeah, well,
Bobowski? Go ahead.
and the other critical part that is also, hidden in plain sight is what are our partners in Lansing doing to and with us in this budget? In the sense of all of us, I believe, don't appreciate, the unfunded mandates that come and the additional burdens of paperwork and other things and rules that might be punishing a county that was doing it wrong, but we were doing it right, get the same punishment. So again, the complexities that are within this few pages, just, yeah. So I'll leave it there for now. Again, thank you for the continued hard work, and in fact, the hard work really begins on January 1 when we have to implement and do all the good things that are promised in here, because that's another bumper sticker we have in community organizing is follow the money. And then you really find out who's in charge and all of that. But for us to follow the money, we follow the money to a lot of good service, a lot of good impact for our family members and neighbors. So anyways, keep telling the story and let us know how we can help.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I find myself always following the great conversation of Commissioner Bukowski. It's not a good. Should I turn my mic on?
Yes.
And I'll turn mine off.
Okay. I want to congratulate Wayman and the staff for a balanced budget. I remember not too long ago when we didn't have a balanced budget, and we had to really navigate some landmines to continue our services to the community that we offer. So I think this is a good budget. I like the fact that we have 0.3 of a mil going into our CIP, but that's a whole nother discussion. There are some things that I'm lukewarm on in the budget, but overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. So I'll be voting yes, because I moved it.
Commissioner Antor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, as far as a balanced budget, a structurally balanced budget, that should never be an exception. And sometimes I feel like it's an exception here in Kent County. This is something we should all strive for, not only at county levels, local levels, state levels, federal levels. I mean, that's the way families do business. And it's very difficult when we're talking about government. I know it gets tougher because we want to provide critical services, but that should always be the standard. Let's balance the budget, because if we don't, we've seen what happens, especially at the federal level. We are so upside down. So I'm very appreciative of the entire process, and Wayman, great job, and let's keep doing it every year. Make sure that's the carrot on the stick for us, that structurally balanced budget. Thank you.
Hey, anyone else? Commissioner Sparks?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is my first time going through this process, and I have to say that I am very appreciative of the meetings before. I'm appreciative of the information, and especially to you, Commissioner Jones, for being helpful when I was out, making sure that I understood everything. But Wayman, I thank you very much to you and your staff, and to all the other commissioners who were able to help me through this budgeting process. I will be voting yes, and I'm excited. I thought it was going to be a lot harder, but thank you very much.
Good. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. That brings us to Commissioner Miscellaneous. Is there any commission? Yes, Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a reminder for everyone, if you haven't yet, to go vote. If you live in an area that has an election today, we have elections in across Kent County, in the city of Grand Rapids, city of Kentwood, city of East, Grand Rapids, as well as multiple school districts and local municipalities with bond and millage issues. Go vote, do your part, and if you've joined the permanent absentee list like I have, congratulations on voting ahead of time and voting at the convenience of your home.
Commissioner Bukowski.
Actually, I have two questions. The first, I had a question on the conveyance. That was item C in the consent agenda, and it's fine that you didn't pull it out. But it alludes to the fact if we stumble across other easements in the future, will those come back to us, or did we approve all of those things going forward? Just will be kind of taken care of. If and only if those easements only deal with this sewer system that we really haven't had anything to do with for 30 years.
Let's have Linda respond to that one.
The idea is that cleanups for other potential easements that may be found in a file someplace that didn't get actually conveyed, it wouldn't take a separate board action, but we would allow those cleanups through this AR and this resolution.
All right, thank you. And then second, since November 1st came and went, and I alluded to some of the shenanigans that are happening in Lansing, what's happening with the West Michigan Partnership for Children? They were zeroed out from their support, and I was half expecting it like an emergency resolution to lend them money so they could keep an operation. So did all
I can
those?
start this for a couple minutes, but I want Lori Latham to come up to the mic.
Come on up, Lori. Congratulations. Come on down. Is that The Price is Right? Sorry.
I may get this wrong.
Isn't that how that goes?
I want to make sure we
Lori
get this
Latham,
right.
come on down. You welcome to the Finance
We
Committee.
have been feverishly working on this. We were in Lansing last week. We were at a hearing with Senator McGregor, and we're continually, we met with our lobbyists yesterday, and we're continuing to push this. And we think there's some traction, but maybe Lori can give some more light on it.
So as of this morning, we are learning that the legislature is working on a supplemental that will address a few of the issues that were cut through the line item vetoes or through the ad board. The two sides are still not close because the supplemental is tie-barred to language that would eliminate the governor's ability to use the ad board during the budget process. So as you know, the governor, as any governor, would not want to give up any power that she may have in that budget. So they are continuing negotiations about what elements are going to be included in that supplemental, but the sticking piece is still the policy about the governor's ability to use the ad board. The legislative leaders are meeting this morning with the state budget office. So we do feel like there is, once the two sides are now starting to communicate and they're talking, so we are hoping that we will have some resolution by Thursday. WMPC, the funding to restore that, has been communicated to us. That is a priority to include in the supplemental, as well as the restoration of funding for the secondary road patrol. The other issues, they are going to come back after they come back from their mid-fall break. So at this point, we're hopeful that the two sides will continue to negotiate, but we will have a better answer on Thursday.
How much money are we out?
Yes, Commissioner Bukowski.
I guess, my question wasn't necessarily, I did find that very interesting and enlightening. However, allegedly, they were going to run out of money on November 1st. And so are they still operating? Did we set 800 kids loose that were in foster care? Again.
They have money to operate until,
Okay.
So they are actually, right now, it's my understanding that they are transferring out some of those children, primarily the legacy children. Those are some of the ones that they're focusing on because those will be the hardest to place. The department has sent out contracts to all the adoption agencies. They have till December 1st, I believe, to fill out those contracts. So if you back up the timeline as to what we're looking at, the department wants the WMPC completely disbanded and the department taking over by January 1st. So by December 1st, all that operation needs to be turned over to DHS. So backing that up, December 1st, WMPC has to give notice to all of their providers, operational, et cetera. Backing that up further, basically, next week, WMPC will be having to dismantle, and they will be running out of funding by the end of next week. So I think the department will work with them to try to make sure that there's a smooth transition for the children, but for all intents and purposes, they run out of funding at the end of next week.
now, the backstop for this could be that the agencies could step in some way. Wellspring, Lutheran, DAB, St. John's, so forth, could step in and backstop some of this. They do have some reserve, but they don't have long-term reserves to do this. And then the question will be, if it lingers beyond that, could the county step in? And we'll have to answer that question. We hope we won't have to answer that, but we're prepared to come back to the board if, in fact, we do. We do not think, we're talking about $1.9 million total for the annual operating expenses for that department, for that group. And so it's, we equate what that totals per month to run them. So we are hopeful that the state will rectify this within the next couple of weeks. We think that that will happen, but if it doesn't, there's backstop with our local agencies.
Go for it.
Hang on, I have Commissioner Antor next.
Okay, I'll wait.
Sorry, Commissioner Morgan.
Madam Chair. I think this is a classic example of a program that works really, really well, and it has for a long time. I think if you look at performance measurements with WMPC, you're going to find that we outperform the state in any services that they could provide. I'm sorry.
Is your microphone on?
It is.
Okay, thanks.
This group outperforms the state by every measurement in common sense, but they want us to conform with them in spite of the fact that it's not nearly as successful as what we do here. It's almost like we're being punished because the rest of the state hasn't figured this out yet. And I don't think that's a good thing. I think they ought to be looking at what we're doing successfully, look at our results, and try to do the same thing in other parts of the state.
This is a program that the state, along with legislators, piloted for 5 years. It's not something that the other counties have opportunity to have at this point. However, they have, other counties, Wayne County in particular, have requested the opportunity to participate in this program. So it's really the state, it's really the Department of Health and Human Services that is undermining this work. It's a squabble over a budget.
Right.
That's what's happened here.
Well, and that's the other thing, the state of Michigan has almost, I think, $10 billion in their general fund. Why they're choosing this little piece that affects children is, I have no idea what that's all about. There's lots of things that they could be looking at saving and cutting, but they chose that. And if we're a pilot program, I think we're a pilot program for a reason. They're going to see how it works here, and hopefully they can do it in other parts of the state. What have we done wrong here with this program locally?
We haven't done anything wrong?
Right? It's been successful. So that's my whole point. If it's a pilot program, they ought to be looking at us. Did it work? Yes. But now it's being leveraged as a budget issue, and we're going to pick on kids because that's, going to get the most people fired up, I think. So we don't want to hurt the children, and so it's going to be one of those political ploys, and it's just kind of upsetting, so that's enough for me.
Commissioner Morgan.
Oh, God. Well, they should be embracing this program. I don't want to ruin my morning by talking about the state, so never mind.
We will update you. We will give you an update. As Thursday, Lori mentioned, we should know more.
Anything else, Commissioner Polkowski?
Well, I could go on, but.
Yes, I
Just
know.
to say, but again, how do we make sure that we, as at least Kent County, are ready to is it to lend dollars to make this happen? My assumption is.
That's one option.
It will be made whole after, back to well-described shenanigans, that how, because I mean, if the department's just planning for this off-ramp to end this pilot, it's like, no, I mean, the amount of time and energy that was spent by staff and local agencies over how many years of planning to
Right.
go up in smoke is just, again,
Right.
if there was a reason to spend some of our reserve, or at least borrow some more of our reserve, heaven forbid, this, and.
We trust that the state
Yeah.
will figure this out. We will not have to borrow any
Well,
money
yeah,
or pull any out of our reserves to help
All right.
offset this.
All
But
right,
if we have
well-
to step in, I'm sure you're going to tell me to step in, and but I don't
we'll
think
keep-
we'll have to. Yes, yes,
Yep,
yes,
yep.
yes.
But anyways, so keep up the good work in our for capital. Thank you.
I like the term emergency fund.
Emergency, it's definitely emergency. It's this rain.
But we've been hurting.
Okay, any other Commissioner miscellaneous? Well, I just wanted to thank everyone who was involved in the budget process for their participation, their engagement, their assistance. We had a little bit of a different process with the work sessions this year that I thought was successful by adding one that didn't have a finance committee before it. It allowed us a good 3-hour deep dive into a variety of different topics and allowed then for smaller follow-up as needed with questions to staff. And I think that's what brought us to this point. So with it looking all smooth, without waves, I assure you, there was plenty of moments where the waves had little white caps on them during the process, because that's how that is supposed to go. And that means we're doing our job. It just isn't something that's visible here, but I assure you, it was at that table. So with that being said, we will adjourn. Our next meeting is November 19th.